we are going to playtest a new module for Mazaki No Fantaji, and you get to watch. So here we're going to go with some character creation, and then we'll jump into the module after that. So we have Joe and Carly, wonderful Austin, Texas, and we're going to start out with rolling for the niche trait. And you guys don't have character creation in your quick start, so I guess this is some kind of little sassy preview for you. So I need 3d10 from each of you. So you can roll one at a time.
Alright. I got a 5.
Joe rolls a 5 for his political, and Carly gets a 9. So Joe, you are 5. Your character is part of the persecuted minority.
Okay.
And Carly, your hero is, or your person is an old hero or a famous personage. And this is going to describe how they fit into their world politically.
Okay. So
We still don't know what world that is. It could be from either nation right now. This is just sort of a skeleton that you can fill out with a backstory.
Okay.
Okay, now your personal niche.
7.
7, you are part of a religious family.
7.
Carly is also part of a religious family. Maybe you're related.
Okay.
And then finally, for the social aspect of your niche.
I got a 9.
You are a traditionalist teacher.
I also, I got a 6.
You are a servant or assistant.
You're a servant.
Yeah, so now they each have 3 aspects of their niche, and we have to figure out how those work together and come up with like a little backstory that makes these 3 completely unrelated things into one like realistic background for a person. So yeah, Carly's looks like it's a little tricky, right? She's a famous person, but she's somehow an assistant or a servant.
And religious.
And you're from a religious family. If you guys were, well, what nation do you want to be from then? You could be from different ones, but if you want to say you're related, which might make sense.
This would actually make it easier.
Sake of simplicity.
If we pick the same one. Okay. Well, I was going to go under.
I was thinking of doing Nishi.
How about you do Guanxi, and then neither of you get what you want?
Okay.
9.
Okay, so nation's
Fine.
Guanxi. I'm not generally an ass.
Alright, cool.
So, religious family. So the Guanxi has an imperial religion that's based off of worshiping different, like avatars, I guess, of the emperor's true mind. So the emperor himself is just like the central incarnation of what's considered like the celestial supreme being. And so you worship, I mean, it's kind of like we put together some like Hindu elements.
Okay.
And then we're going to have a little bit of, like philosophy, like Confucian philosophy and stuff mixed in there too.
Well, that makes it easy for me because being a persecuted minority, that means I can just be and a traditionalist teacher means I can be advocating a specific facet
Sure.
of the religion, which is a looked down on or
Excellent.
minority one.
Yeah, okay, so you'll be a teacher in a fringe sect of the main imperial religion.
There you go.
Perfect.
I can throw that together.
I was thinking maybe mine would be like a famous old assistant to the Emperor mine.
The emperor? Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, you could be a famous assistant, which is
Yeah.
actually kind of cool. I was thinking you could be like a famous person who then like converted to his little silly sect and then like lost all of your political
Ooh,
power.
that'd be
But no,
cool.
but yours is better, right? That's great. So you're a famous assistant. That's cool. So I mean, if you're a teacher, you could be you could both be famous,
Yeah,
and she could be your famous assistant.
that works.
And you could be some kind of like traveling like cult leaders, like you have like a road show or something
Yeah.
that you do. And that's why, so okay, so most of the action of the game takes place on the Nopo continent, which is technically like not the home turf of the Guanxi people. So
Right.
maybe you guys, I mean it's kind of like a Wild West frontier
Traveling.
thing. You guys, yeah, you've left the mainland and come out to like the charter frontier space to start peddling your new take on the imperial religion.
Well, yeah, because whatever religion I am peddling would basically be so persecuted on the mainland that the only choice is to go to the fringes.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, so when you have this niche now, you'll come up with your first trait.
Okay.
And these are then qualitative, like catchphrases, descriptors, cool, they're generally punny, literary, poetic in certain ways, phrases that describe your character.
I think a lot of the pun is going to depend on what religious sect it is I'm actually teaching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite trait ever is shades in the dark, which comes from me, Mr. Mustard. And I imagine it's this incredibly resourceful, like rugged, edgy nomad or something. You can see in the quick start also on all those pre-generated characters, Gar, for example, has Slip Sliding Away,
Yeah.
which is a great Paul Simon song, and so she's going to be sort of like cagey and dodgy. If someone's like asking her a question, she can indirectly answer that, and that'll play to that Slip Sliding Away. Also, anytime she's dodging, anytime she's sliding down roof tiles or something, she's playing to that trait so she gets extra dice. She also has Never Leaves On the Light, which is a lyric from the Car song, and that speaks to her being slightly inconsiderate on like the figurative level of the actual song lyric, meaning she wouldn't leave the light on for someone. Also, it might mean that she's very like tight with her resources, so she doesn't waste oil, she doesn't waste matches, she doesn't waste anything, right? You can kind of extrapolate on that.
Yeah.
And then also, even the most literal basic meaning, she never leaves on the light because she's really good at doing things in the darkness. So
Okay.
anytime she does stuff in the darkness, she's getting extra dice, right? You can make it as base and banal as you want, or you can make them as very literary and figurative and kind of take them, just play off of words, like do wordplay with like slip sliding, right? She's just slipping. If she slips and falls
She's just
over,
clumsy as shit.
yeah, she's clumsy, right? Exactly.
Okay.
So you can play off of, and these are generally the hardest part of character creation. It only takes 5 minutes to roll a character, but sometimes it takes people an hour or two to come up with the perfect trait that will make their character fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys don't have the luxury of such time.
Well, it's one of those things where you don't need to overthink it.
It's true, you don't.
So, it could be, you can make it as easy as like, everyone's a critic.
Yeah, sure.
Or it could be, help, I'm being oppressed.
Yes. Yes.
Which could simply mean that, he's got a martyr complex going
Mhm.
on, where he likes to blame everyone else for all of his problems
Yeah.
all the time. So anytime he tries to blame another person for something,
Yeah.
that's playing to my character.
Yeah. Well, and anytime in combat you're defending. Easily
Yep.
any defensive move.
Yeah,
help,
any
I'm
defensive
being
maneuver,
impressed.
period, would be considered that way. Or
Yeah.
any kind of anytime he gets injured,
Sure.
even
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
can sit there and take drama off of it.
Yeah. Well, and also then because it's a Monty Python quote, it's gonna lend itself to slightly silly. You're gonna get in that mindset even when you play.
Yeah,
That's
he
even
could be
like
a
the
more
source of it.
slapstick kind of character that way.
Yeah, cool. I say write it down.
Yeah.
That's good.
So I'm going to take help, I'm being oppressed.
There you
Yes.
And that'll
so
be
you
my
write that
first
down.
facet.
Nope, that'll be your trait right there in the
That'll be
middle.
my trait.
Yeah.
go. See.
So Carly has an old hero, a part of the same religious family.
Mhm.
We can maybe your father or your mother or something was a priest of the official religion, and you guys are like, and maybe even they could be famous too, and you guys are like the bad seed children.
The black sheep.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Bend some ears.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, and then the servant assistant thing. So if you're his,
Yeah.
the cult leader's assistant,
Mhm.
who like, I guess you could do the whole like, hey, look over here in this wonderful box. Or you could be like the leg breaker too, right? You could be famous for being like the one that, you talk bad about him.
You built a
Disappear.
reputation
Sad.
there.
Yeah.
Was it a good cop, bad cop?
Yeah, and you're the bad cop. Good, bad, I'm the guy with the gun.
Yeah.
Let's see.
You could even have, if you could do stuff, I'm trying to think of, if we're imagining you're like older,
Yeah.
like Age Before Beauty works really well. I think I had a guy play that before, it was fun.
Got like this. I'm thinking they have this wealth of knowledge that they're always anticipating.
Okay.
They're always thinking, trying to figure something out or plan something ahead of time.
Exactly.
You could even have like right hand man or right hand woman, which would play the fact that you're like an assistant and are kind of like
And that would also give you a trait anytime
chop
you do something
with your right hand.
Yeah.
Or like left-handed, like left-hand man, right? Which is like the sinister sort of like.
Which would work
obscure.
because we're like a branch off.
Maybe who does number 2 work for?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like left-hand man.
Okay. Yeah. So
Okay.
left-hand man or left-hand woman.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, we haven't even picked names yet.
Go
So.
left-hand
So,
man.
yeah,
I don't
you
even
can
have
go-
a gender.
You can gender bend. Everyone loves gender bend in a role playing game. Okay, so now you're gonna roll for your facets. These are the 2 powers or abilities that your character has. Right now we have 50 of those, and the people that are gonna be watching from the Kickstarter backers, they don't know what those are yet. We haven't really released all of those, so we'll get whatever 40 you guys roll up right now could be new, unknown.
This is your big reveal.
Yeah, unless you pick ones that have already been done, and then it's like we're trying to be really genuine here. So
Sorry. Alright, cool. Well, actually, I went first last
okay,
time.
well you need a
2,
yeah, you need a 10s digit and a single digit. So
Okay.
Okay.
little percentile.
3 and an 8.
So you're gonna say 38.
Yes.
Okay, elemental form.
Ooh.
So on the gray line, that top line, you'll write elemental form.
Okay.
Better handwriting than I do. And on the white line and underneath it, I'm gonna tell you what that does.
Alright.
So it's an overpower with 4 drama, so 4 DT. And that gives you a new trait and the ability to cause a status effect. So write that next to that overpower 4 DT. You have a new trait and you cause status effect. So you've got to do a little bit of homework here. You have to come up with which element you want to be. Since that's a spell, it'll use one of the 7 elements. We don't really have the elemental stuff in the quick start, so I guess you're getting that here now too.
So
the 7 are fire, wood, earth, metal, crystal, sky, and water.
I'm gonna go with water.
Okay, excellent. So you can write that down next to the facet at the top, that elemental form, water form. And then you have to come up with another trait. So you might want to put it down here on the bottom, fill in one of those diamonds.
Okay.
And then you'll come up with another trait for when you're in like water form.
Okay.
So you'll kind of go like liquid in a certain way, and you'll have a new trait. Whenever you have 4 tokens, you're in like liquid form, and so you'll have a new trait that represents the abilities or the powers or the way that you change when you're in that liquid form.
Okay.
Okay, so that's your first facet. Would you like to roll the second one? And then you can start thinking up your trait,
Yeah, sure.
and then we'll let Joe roll.
Yeah, that'll give you time to think while I work.
83.
83.
38 again.
Yeah. Familiar. Fantastic. So the next one is familiar. And on the next line then, it has 1 trait, and it has a 2 block of hit points. So you write 2 in brackets, is how we keep track of the resistance or the hit points. And that means we're actually going to come up with another tile or card. You're actually going to be taking 2 turns every time you, every turn, every round in combat, because you'll have a familiar next to you that gets to take extra turns. And so that could be any kind of animal you want. You can have like a little sugar glider. You can have Rur, the tiger from Beast. I mean, anything you want. And we'll develop this in a little bit then.
Okay.
So, question.
Yes.
What happens if you roll the same number twice? Can you take the same trait twice?
We actually are working on the same facet. We're actually working on maybe having like the facets level somewhat, but I don't think that's really necessary. They're very different and very cool, like how they are now. So yeah, you'd probably just re-roll, or like Carly did right there, you just invert the numbers. So if she rolled 8 and a 3 both times, the first time we counted it as a 38, the second time is an 83.
Cool.
So I guess it's up to Joe now.
Yep. So I took 48.
48. Blight. Way to go. That's an elemental spell. So on that gray line, you can write Blight.
Okay.
And the line underneath it then, what Blight does, it costs 2 drama tokens, and it causes a status effect.
Good.
Which is the status effects. There's 10 different status effects. 7 of them are related to the elements. So based on whatever element you have, it'll determine what status effect you cause.
Okay.
And that actually can happen at will. So anytime you want, you can just spend those 2 to give someone a status effect. Even if it's like before somebody else attacks, whenever it's strategic, you can spend.
Just anytime I feel like it.
Yeah, anytime you feel like it. Well, between turns. You couldn't do it like in the middle of someone's turn.
Yeah.
But before they act, or whenever, any place during the player or the enemy round.
Okay.
And then the second one?
It's going to be 92.
92. Disciplined veteran. So we'll call that, you can write down veteran or disciplined veteran. And that means you deal 1 damage on clash instead of the DT plus, which is great. It means you win ties.
That works.
So on the original Bao character sheet, this was written as martial arts, but because we want everybody to have a particular martial arts system in place, we changed the name of this to veteran, they're like an experienced or a master martial artist, and this is the only way in the game actually that you can win on a tie, is by having this facet. Okay, so now you each need to come up with 1 trait that's now based off of these facets you rolled.
Okay.
Some kind of qualitative thing that will help you play to and allude to these powers you have.
Okay.
So let's see, like boiling
So-
point or quick to boil.
Ooh, yeah, that's great.
That works.
Okay, so you have to come up with 2. You need
Okay.
1 for the 2 facets together, and then you need to come up with a separate one that's just for when you're in your water form.
Okay.
So that could work for either. I like that quick to boil. Slippery
Yeah,
when
I
wet.
thought that one too.
Hey baby, what's your side?
That would be good for the
Right.
the one down here, right?
Yeah.
If you keep track
Okay.
of it separately. Yeah, slippery
Okay.
and wet. What is the caution? Bridge freezes before road. It's like, oh, hey, thanks for that, highway person.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Watch
And
for
then
ice on bridge.
you could do the whatever quick to boil
Yeah.
would be cool on that second one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, right there. Joe.
So if I'm taking blight and discipline veteran together,
Maybe you're both older then.
maybe we are. Only she's famous and I'm not.
Yeah. She's your famous assistant.
She's-
She's like more famous than you.
She's famous, I'm infamous. Slightly different. Everyone hates me. I'm being oppressed. Everyone
You are.
hates me. Let's see, the other one I could take.
So I mean, blight is. I mean, you could either
So-
think of yourself as the blight and have another like I'm diseased and weird, or you could play off of the fact that you blight like jinx, right? You like blight other people.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, it's hard to
But
make enemies
also,
when you're this
I
fluid.
like the discipline veteran one though.
Yeah,
Just sort of like an I always win sort of thing.
yeah. And that's even like it could be like long in the tooth, right?
Yeah.
Any kind of like silverback might be kind of a cool trait anytime you're jabbing it.
Ooh.
Yeah, because he was.
And you might want something that's more combat ready than the help on being oppressed, right? You might want
Right.
something that's sort of like a go-to in combat trait.
Yeah, it's just sort of what I do. where
Yeah,
I
and
go.
plus you're the teacher who's like her boss, and you're starting a cult. If you're a cult leader, I think
Yeah, true.
not to be heavy-handed here, but I think silverback is kind of badass.
Yeah, I like that one. I like how we could kind of take it all together there, where it's, yeah, he's disciplined and he's kind of badass in his own way, but it's also a very convicted sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean you could even add to it, right? I mean, like rogue silverback, or you can like
Yeah.
throw an adjective on there. You know, as long as it feels nice and it's not like I'm a really cool guy. Like that probably wouldn't work well as a trait.
Yeah, no.
When I played with my niece, who's 4, hello Sage, she had big hands. No, she had big and green hands. Those are 2 traits.
That is
She
loud.
did very well
Yeah.
with green hands and big.
Yeah,
That's her 2 traits.
I think I can go with the discipline, but veteran like. Yeah, I like where you were going with the silverback one.
I mean, what else could we use to play off of that? You could write that down now, and then after the break, we can come back and you could have maybe
We could be like,
refined
oh, I came up
traits.
with something better.
Yeah. But really, so it only takes 5 minutes. The hard part is coming up
Yeah.
with traits.
Yeah.
And you'll think of it. You'll be riding the bus tomorrow, and you'll be like, oh gosh, this trait would be
Yeah,
so good.
I should have just done that.
And then you'll post them on our Facebook page, which is what everyone should do with good traits.
There you go. Create the compendium.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I'm just gonna go with silverback for now, and I'll come up with something
Excellent.
as time goes on.
Okay, so now in the extended version, if we were getting into stuff, you would roll your martial art, put together for your culture. Jake and I are still arguing about how exactly that should be part of character creation. But there are 7 martial arts styles. There's 4 that are the same for all cultures, and they're sort of like generic, like a grappling style, a long range style, things like that. And then each culture has one that's separate. It's a little bit. It has both an advantage and a disadvantage. And the martial arts styles are just other things you can do when you tie.
Okay.
So we might get into that a little bit later, or we might just leave that off since that's not in the quick start and might be a little bit. I mean, it adds like one level of complexity to the game, like one level of strategy also for how to handle ties, but it's not necessary for teaching someone, especially newcomers, what to do. Okay, so we'll be right back with starting up this new module, Blood in the Shadows.